Welcome back to all our friends, family, and yes, even our foes. To the Foxx Den Sports Podcast, where Todd and his sports-passionate kids are ready to bring you the latest updates and insights on all things sports. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, here are your hosts, Kellen, Garrett, Gannon, and coming to you from the Foxx Den, their dad, Todd Foxx.
Welcome back to the Foxx Den Sports Podcast, along with Kellen and Garrett. I'm Todd Foxx, and we got a lot to cover. A lot of news. Some good news and some really just poor game that we just played against South Carolina. But let's get into it quick. Garrett, Kellen, what in the world happened?
Bad offense happened is what it was. It's what put us in the grave about 2.5 minutes into the game. Well, quicker than that, but realistically, like 3.5 minutes in, we were already down 3 scores. So at that point, I don't care who you're playing, that's a hard mountain to climb, especially whenever our offense probably hasn't put up that much in
since week one. Week two. So, yeah, it's just pathetic. I know last week I projected them to get 7 sacks on us, which, that felt like an overreach, but I knew their defensive line was really, really good, and obviously we know our offensive line struggles, but they ended up getting 9 sacks on us, and it's just absolutely pathetic. I think Venables is just taking too long to make some very big decisions throughout the season. One being the quarterback. I think he made the right choice in switching off Arnold when he did to go to Hawkins, but I think he also took way too long to go to Arnold, not only this week, but last week too. So, and then Luttrell, we all know he should have been gone 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like, I know that would have been super early in the season, but everybody could tell that he was not cut out for this at all. He is not cut out for the SEC and being a head man at the coordinator calling plays, but all in all, it was a game that everyone was just kind of there and laughing at. It got so out of hand again so fast that you literally just had to smile and just, honestly, nothing you could do. Yeah.
Nothing we could do.
Kellen, you've been calling for it for a while now, the dismissal of the offensive coordinator.
He was cheeks.
What do you think?
He just, I don't know, just zero urgency. It felt like we were just running all this short crap that never worked, and like Jackson Arnold took all the heat for all these turnovers against Tennessee, and yeah, he could have done better. He could have held onto the ball better, but like some of it's just these play calls, and as we see, it happens 3 drives in a row to put us in the hole, like Gary said. Like, he's terrible.
Who's terrible?
Luttrell, yeah, completely set us back starting in the SEC, like worse than I could have ever imagined. At least if we won this game, I'm thinking, okay, the 2 teams we lost when we lost to them were top 5 teams. Like, they were but then we lose. And at South Carolina, I'm not saying they put some work in Alabama. They're clearly a good team, but to just go out there and 21-0 in 3 or 4 minutes. Like, our defense did okay. Our defense realistically led up 2 touchdowns. Yeah, they let up 1 on the turnover, but like that was field position. Like, after that, 2 touchdowns, and our offense is just terrible. I don't even know what else to say. It's pathetic.
Well, here's my question. So, and I hear both of you talking about Luttrell and how he shouldn't have been in, but how much of it do you put the blame on the fact that we had our offensive line's horrible, number one. Number 2, having the receivers out. Does that play any part in the poor play calling or anything, in your opinion? What could he have done differently?
I think it definitely plays a part. I think no matter who you are, you're missing out even a couple receivers and just a bad offensive line. It's like, it's going to be hard. But whenever they just let Arnold sling the ball, like, we were moving. We were moving the ball. We were getting into scoring position. But
there's just no creativity with any of it. There's no creativity with this offense. I've been complaining about the RPO since week 1, even when we scored like 40-something points. But it's just there's no creativity. And college football's where good, creative offensive coordinators separate themselves the most. And that was my biggest hurdles. Again, I know the injuries. I know that we were using that as an excuse for Tennessee and whoever, even before them. But I mean, there's just no creativity. You have 3 different running plays, it feels like, and then 75% of your passes are within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. So,
I mean, the receivers stunk. They couldn't get open, but yeah.
Well, they could get open. They just couldn't catch. So
true. I mean, Sharp dropped at least a couple balls that I saw.
Hester dropped a couple, and then
number 88 dropped one, even though he played a pretty good game.
I mean, I'm not going to complain about him for being a walk-on, he was open all the time from everything I saw. So, I mean, you got guys getting scholarship offers, dropping ones right at their chests. So,
I agree 100%. He is the you called it out, like the new Stoops. He's the new kind of go-to guy. The Stoops. Jacob Jordan is his name. Fantastic player. I thought anyway.
I mean, from the little bit we saw, yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. So, Kellen, what else? What is your rebuttal like as far as because I mean, I feel like, and I could be wrong, which I am probably a lot, but Luttrell knew that these guys weren't very good, and he was trying to call some kind of, a little bit way too conservative game. Even though I think he still should have gotten out there and at least tried to hum the ball down the field. I mean, you can't. I was telling somebody at work yesterday, how many times did we try to run up the middle? Was he expecting it? Hopefully at one point, you would think after as many times we ran up the middle, we would have broken one of those. We didn't break one this whole season. I don't think, had we? Except for that very first game of the season, in the fourth quarter, Taylor Tatum. Other than that, but I mean, those don't count as far as I'm concerned. I mean, we cannot run the ball. Offensive line's garbage, which he does have a responsibility in the offensive line still, even though he is not the offensive line coach. He's the overall coordinator. But give me your thoughts.
I mean, I'd say 50-50 on injuries and coordinator, but I was complaining about him since week 1 and 2 when we did have some of our receivers in line. That was pre. I know we were missing a couple pieces, but that was pre-injuries, and we were playing against garbage teams, and we all could see it coming.
Yeah.
And okay, if you're calling a conservative game because you're nervous about these guys can't really catch, can't really get open, at some point show us why you're calling this conservative game. Oh, okay, now we see there's really no option. But when you just the defense just knows, okay, it's either an RPO, it's going to be a short pass, or it's going to be a run up the middle. We have no creativity, no diversity, and it's just the easiest thing to call defensive play calls against. It was just embarrassing. I've just never seen anything like it.
Yeah, and I mean, the first three touchdowns for them, obviously off turnovers. 2 of them they ran back, and the other one was great field position. Then we did the fake punt, which gave them great field position. I think they got a field goal maybe on that one, so it's 24 points. That's I don't want to say it's on the defense because it's not. You still want to try to stop them, but that's 24 points that they gave up very quickly out of the 35. And then Beamer went for 2 points and made it at that one point. But Jackson Arnold, I think he's the quarterback of the future still. I don't know how you guys feel. I don't know how he feels. I don't know if he wants to stay. I mean, a lot has to happen between now and the end of the year, and even next year. Who knows what's going to happen? But he definitely, I mean, you could tell Hawkins was not ready for that game, and that's a good front four that they have at South Carolina, and they popped him pretty good when he fumbled that football, and he made some poor choices, and Venables finally made the call to Arnold, but still, we were too far behind to even have a shot to come back. All right, so here's my question then. I mean, where does Oklahoma go from here? Possible replacements. I know Joe John Finley is now going to be the play caller, and I don't remember the guy's name who was the offense coordinator at Duke, who's now was an analyst. Now he's going to be on staff for a little bit, for at least for the remainder of the year. Do you see? Is there any way to even improve this offense? Truly, honestly,
Yes.
How so?
Well, we're like 130th in the country, so there's literally nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
What that is, no idea, honestly. I mean, I don't know what you would do. I mean, I have an idea of just buying him literally maybe a half second more time and letting him think before he gets the ball in his hand. But, there's literally only going up. So
we talked about it a few weeks ago. I think it was after the Texas game that they asked, was it Bauer Sharp, if Latrell had said anything, and he didn't say anything. I mean, I wonder if he ever had any kind of relationship with any of these players. I don't know the answer. If he, I don't know. I'm not trying to dig something that that's not there, make something out of nothing that's not even really there. But I mean, if for a coordinator not to even talk to the team about how garbage they played against Texas as well, which he has a big responsibility in that because he didn't play or didn't make the right play calls at all. But do you think any of that played a part in it, or do you think it's all combined and he was gone? Everything.
I mean, I think it's all combined. I don't think it has anything to do with off field. I think it's all just. I mean, you said it while we were walking out of the stadium. Like, if the donors want somebody gone, they'll get him gone. And they obviously wanted that done quick because it happened the next day. Yeah. And Venables said last week he's in however many years he's been coaching under whoever he's been with has never been a part of a mid-season coach change. So that's obviously I mean, this is a huge for him. Just saying, like, yeah, I mean, you suck. You suck. Yeah. So,
well, here's some possible replacements that you see. The Brendan Marion, he's from UNLV. I know a lot of people are big and high on him, but I mean, obviously we are. A lot of other schools are too, and this guy may be able to get a head coaching job. Mike Shanahan, offensive coordinator at Indiana, is in no relation to the Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan's dad, who won the Super Bowl Denver, a couple Super Bowls. I don't know how you pronounce his last name, Andy Kotelnicki from Penn State. I don't see why we need to leave Penn State to come here. It doesn't make any sense. Casey Woods, SMU offensive coordinator. Garrett Riley. I don't think he would leave Clemson for here. Cade Bell, Pittsburgh, University of Pittsburgh's offensive coordinator. A guy named Willie Korn at Liberty. There's somebody that, at a smaller school. It's like Lincoln Riley was at. And then Jeff Nixon from Syracuse. And then I think those are kind of the names. Some of the name I'm seeing also, I say I'm seeing people put out there. Vanderbilt's offense coordinator, I have the name of him off the top of my head. But what are your thoughts? Where do we go? What should we do?
I mean, you've got to go young and innovative. I don't think you need to worry about, as much as it stinks, like you can't worry about them being like, yeah, I mean, they're going to probably do a good year and they'll get for sure a head coaching job after that. Like, at this point, get the best you can get, build it, and then go from there. But again, young, innovative, and you're not going to pull. Again, I've seen the Clemson, I've seen Penn, I've seen Texas A&M. Like, we're not going to pull someone from another top tier program. That makes zero sense, especially with the state that we're in. Every single one of those programs is ahead of us, so that makes even less sense. But I think you're going to have to go for that, mid-table. Power 5 school, or like you mentioned, a UNLV, SMU, which SMU's in the SEC now, but
Liberty guy, I think.
Liberty, yeah.
Bob
Smith, you got to go pass. You got to have a guy who's known for his passing game, because that's all any team successful in the country is passing.
Kellen, what are your thoughts? What do you think we need to do? And I'm not asking for a name of somebody, but what are you hoping for?
Just got to get somebody who knows how to open the playbook up and call a variety of plays. Obviously, passing is going to be important because even the teams that are heavy run games and teams with great running backs, that's not the key anymore. It's all passing. And I don't know, like you said, at this point, we can't worry about who's going to stick with us because if they're going to stick with us for a while, they might not be that good.
Yeah, to your point, you want your coaches. It stinks, but you want them to be sought after. That means they're doing a good job.
Yeah, that's just part of it. That's part of college
football. It's unfortunate.
It's part of football in general.
But
right.
To that point too, like if you just consistently get these guys upgrades and head coaching jobs, they're going to constantly be the first option for that best offensive coordinator that is available. So, but I would prefer a great offensive coordinator to stay with us for years and years and years. But
obviously,
sure. Yeah. I would say, to be honest with you, 3 years is probably what you're going to probably get out of somebody. Hopefully,
max.
3 years maybe.
We knew Levy was gone after that about that much.
Right. And here's the thing, and the reason I'm asking this question is I'm not asking the question. I'm going here that I'm going to ask a question afterwards. But Bob Stoops did a fantastic job at his first hire was with Mike Leach. Mike Leach was only here for 1 year. Mark Mangino and then Leach went to Texas Tech. Mark Mangino was offense coordinator from 2000 to 2001, so he was here 2 years. Went to Kansas as a head coach. Chuck Long from 2002 to 2005 went to San Diego State as a head coach. Then you got Kevin Wilson, who was there as the offensive coordinator from 2002 till 2010. Now, he was with Chuck Long for several years when they got that. I believe they were co at the time. But then Kevin Wilson left and went to Indiana. Kevin Sumlin was here, was an offensive coordinator from with who was that? He was with Kevin Wilson.
So Stoops' guys got head coaching gigs.
And then Heupel, 2011, 2014, which he did fire Heupel. And to be honest with you, they weren't going in the greatest direction. But I also hear the fact that Stoops was pulling him back a little bit and not letting him do what he wanted to do. And then, of course, Lincoln Riley came in for 2 years. The reason I'm asking that is how far behind is Oklahoma set now by getting that wrong hire? That set us back. How quickly can something like that turn, in your opinion?
Personally, I would say 2 years max, maybe just a year, solely for the fact that I would say 2 years for the fact that next year is not going to be great either, because you're just, without showing it on the field, you're not going to get a lot of players to be able to want to come there. But with the transfer portal, I think that year, that next year,
that's what I was going to say. I think it speeds it up a little bit. Transfer portal does speed it up a little bit.
Yeah, which without the transfer portal, I'd probably say 4 to 5. 4 to 5 years is what that guy set us back by being terrible at his job. But
if I'm an offensive lineman and I'm ready to transfer from one school and go, I'm going to Oklahoma because I know I'm probably going to start. That's just a thought. And I'm going to go up against some really good competition. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but there'll be some people out there, but we got to capitalize on getting those guys. Kellen, what do you think? The offensive line coach, Bill Bedenbaugh, he's got a good history, got some good players, but kind of heat do you think he should be taking right now? Because it feels like everything's been falling on Seth Luttrell.
I just think he needs obviously they need to be better coached, but I think we need better depth. Like, injuries are going to happen. It's part of the game, sadly. You don't ever want anybody to get hurt, but you have to have backup plans for these guys. Like receivers, okay, it's different. We lost 5. At some point, you're going to run out. But, like, offensive line, you got to have solid backups. And that's just something we clearly don't have.
Garrett, what were you saying on the way you were talking? I think we were talking about Saturday. I don't know if we were talking about on the way home. I think it's when it was, or when we were at lunch or whatever. But you remember, like, OU's had with Bedenbaugh, he's had some good players, but never like several at a time. It's like you got the Creed Humphrey. You've got who was it from last year that just got drafted by Dallas?
Guyton,
and you got
Wanya Morris the year before. Like,
right?
Here's the thing: is he's always had players that are like decent, like some 5th rounders and below. Like, those are okay players.
Right.
But he's typically always had, that one stud that's going to be a lock, in my opinion, like third round and above. You're pretty elite in college. But we've never had, again, like a Bama, like they've got all 5 of their starters, I guarantee you, and Georgia too. They're probably going to be first, second, third rounders, the entire offensive line. They just keep rotating them in. And again, like you just mentioned, we went Creed, we went Wanya, we went Guyton, and then we went. I mean, there's some a lot of older players as well, but from just recent memory, it's so hard. It's so hard, but yeah, he's the one kind of in that middle I was forgetting. But the biggest problem though with the offensive line is, as bad as they are now, even if we did have that one stud, he'd be looking terrible because he would just be getting.
Right.
You can't single-handedly upgrade an offensive line. So the biggest issue and the biggest challenge during the season, or the off-season rather, is going to be getting that first player in the portal that has experience, that is like a very solid player that has hopefully played at another blue blood or Power 5 school, because you can't ever expect a freshman to come in and dominate. I know we got Fasusi coming in, and I hope he's as good as he's supposed to be, but you never know, especially offensive line. It's tough.
Well, I know, he had Jamal Brown, he had Trent Williams. Those are some guys that we've got to get several at the same time. Three would be great. Two would be fine. Not fine, but we need several. Instead of just having one stud. But then again, it doesn't bother me 5-star, 4-star. I don't care as long as it's a player that wants to play, can play well, and can be coached. But for whatever reason, this unit was not coached, and then they tried to get some people, some recruits on top of portal guys, and they just, for whatever reason, didn't work. I don't have any idea. Sad thing is, I think a lot of it has to do with NIL now, so I don't think we have the funds. Don't you think, or no?
A report came out of the projected numbers that every team in the country has, and we are 10th in the country.
Okay.
Only separated from number 1 by like 1 million, which
Who's
in retrospect, Texas.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
I think it was Texas, then Oregon. But yeah, to that note really quick, I was thinking the number 1 defensive lineman in the country right now of projected to be drafted was at Purdue and then hit the transfer portal this last season. He had a lot of visits lined up, and we were one of them. And then like a day before he was supposed to visit, he canceled it and then committed to A&M. So that has nothing to do with the offensive line. It's just like we have to figure out a way to get those guys. We have to, because he would have been game-changing. He would have finally pushed Ethan Downs out of his position, and we would have had him and R. Mason Thomas. And our defense isn't the problem, but whenever you can get a guy like that. But
sure.
I think we were so focused on offensive line, like you just mentioned, we were able to get a single one of them because half the All-American or midseason All-American players on the offensive line are transfer portal guys, and again, we didn't get a single one.
It's unfortunate. So here's another question that I've seen out there. Not saying it has to happen, but what about Brent Venables? How much of his job is safe? Right now, it would be a $44 million buyout. Should they bite the bullet and let him go? You and I were talking about it. We'd rather spend that money on NIL, but I also made the comment to you. I would rather get rid of, if we were going to get rid of him a year early versus a year too late. Because the thing is, we can try to go into it next year and see what happens. But if it falls apart next year, he's done, right? I think we would all admit for sure, if it falls apart next year, he would be done. Do you bite the bullet now and make that kind of move, or do you give him another year to try to get it fixed?
I'd probably give him another year just because I love what he has done with the defense.
I love him.
But
he can coach some defense.
Yeah, it's like at this point, is he head coach material? And it's hard to say, but I would give him one more year.
Okay. Garrett?
I'd give him one more year just solely for the fact, obviously, again, we keep talking about injuries. Like, that's just unfortunate. But it's just whenever you're at a program like Oklahoma and you do make like one bad hire, obviously we're going to notice that, and that could definitely cost you your job. But most of these guys we've gotten before have been a head coach somewhere else or some fashion, and this is his first time in charge. So I think we've talked about it again. He's so loyal to Oklahoma and the program. He's also almost too loyal to the players and the assistants and stuff like that. So I think he just needed a very unfortunate, ugly wake up call on that. But no, I mean, I would give him a year, just like Kellen said. He knows how to coach a defense for sure. Absolutely, and there's no
100%.
doubt about that. It's just, again, if you just put us with a mediocre offense, it would be completely different. Completely different. I'm not even talking like elite like we used to be, like just mediocre at best.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Last year's offense. Above
honestly, yeah. Like, look at Georgia. That offense, mediocre in my opinion. Yeah. But 6-1, beating, the number one team. So that defense is just really good. And I think the more time we give Venables, the more that defense is going to get solidified as being, one of the best in the country.
Well, yeah, he can coach defense. And then, I mean, my concern obviously is the fact that we're going to lose some key starters this coming up year. You're going to have Stutzman leaving, Bowman leaving. We'll have David Stone. I say we'll have him. Hopefully we'll have him. They're not going to leave. Jackson, talking about the Bowen brothers. Both of those guys, I think, are going to be studs. Kip Lewis. So we're still going to have some decent players. But he can definitely coach some defense for sure. But man, I'm just like, is he the right guy? Hopefully he is. I mean, I think he can recruit and all. But dadgum, man, like he made a bad choice on the offensive coordinator. Now, Stoops, I felt like, whenever he let go of Heupel, like he was getting heat. I don't know if you guys remember, but he was getting some heat during that time frame. And he made the right call with Lincoln Riley and got it up and running in the next couple of years. And that's whenever he decided to walk away, obviously, at that point, and hand it over. But got to get the offense coordinator right because Venables is still going to coach some good defense. We got a really good defensive coordinator in Zach Alley. I think he's fantastic. So, and you made the comment like, heck, maybe give him the head coaching job, and because that's what we were talking about. Like, we didn't want Venables to leave because we know this defense is good, but then we were like, okay, well, why don't you give it to Zach Alley and then head coaching job? And not saying we wanted to, just saying like it would be an option. A young coach already knows the defense scheme that we like, or that that they run very well, and then get the right hire at offense coordinator.
He's also a good recruiter too, Zach Alley. So we wouldn't be missing out on any kind of recruits or anything like that. I don't know a lot about him in the sense of would he leave if hypothetically a bigger job opened up. I have no idea. I think if he got shown this amount of trust at this age of this program, I don't see why he would, discount that. But I mean, like you just mentioned, I don't want it to happen yet. I would love if he could get, honestly, 2 more seasons after this before we even considered that. But
well, it all depends on how next year goes, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, to be honest with you.
Well,
I don't know
okay.
I don't know if we're going to win another game other than Maine. I don't know if we're going to win another game. Go ahead.
Well, no, I'm not saying that's assuming Venables is there, and I think if we give him another, like next year, I think is going to be a little bit better than this. It can't be much worse, honestly. I know we played Michigan as one of our non-con games, but I honestly would think we'd be able to compete with them right now. So, anyways, ideally for Zach Alley's sake, I would rather him be under BV for another 2 years just to kind of learn the scheme. And if it goes well, hopefully coaching. If it doesn't go well, not learn from him for head coaching. But
like I said,
what not to do.
It doesn't matter what we all think, or it doesn't matter what the Joe Castiglione thinks. It doesn't matter what the president, I think is it Haraz, is how you pronounce it? Haraz Harris, the president of the university. I waved at him, by the way, at the game. He waved back. You'll boomer to me. Anyway, what they think, it's what the donors think. If the donors don't feel comfortable, they'll pony up and make a move. So that's what concerns me. I think is we got to see some significant improvement over these next 5 games. So we got Maine. We're going to be at Ole Miss here. We'll talk about that in a minute. And we'll have Maine. Then we'll have Missouri, Alabama, and then LSU. Right. So we're not going to be favored other than Maine in any of these games. And in fact, Ole Miss is a 20.5-point favorite. 20.5. I couldn't tell you the last time that's happened to an Oklahoma Sooner football team. Over under for the game's 48. But I mean, Oklahoma goes to Ole Miss is coming up Saturday, and let me tell you, I think if Lane Kiffin has the opportunity, he's going to run that score up. I remember when he was it Florida Atlantic?
He always does.
You know what I mean? Like we roll him and run the score up on him, and that's what I think is going to happen. They have to score on our defense, but I don't know. We'll see. What are your all's thoughts? Moving on real quick with Ole Miss, the game coming up. I mean, what do you want to see? Because I'm just telling you, we're not going to win. The only way we win is Ole Miss forgets how to get to the stadium or something. I don't know. That's not going to happen.
I want to see some offensive touchdowns, and I want to see some turnovers on the defense.
Yeah.
I just want to see some different plays, honestly. Show me something different, which is going to be hard because it's the same playbook. It's just I don't get it, but
you turn the page on the playbook maybe, and we'll
sure.
Yeah. I just let Arnold throw the ball. Honestly, I just don't understand. I think from where he's at right now, in a sense, he kind of reminds me of like a Bo Nix. Like Bo Nix was not good his first few years, just constantly turning the ball over. But he had a huge arm and just needed to learn decision making. And towards the end of his career,
Arnold throw a 40-yard interception than a behind the line fumble. Just take a shot. At least it's like, okay, that's borderline a little punt return back there. Like I'd rather that be the turnover than all this crap at the line.
Yeah, he had the dot to Brennan Thompson on the touchdown. He had a good throw to the guy to, I think, Ivan Carrion or something like that, the six receiver. It was the guy, as a flag in my opinion, the guy never turned his head around and was all over him, but still a good spot. And then he also had a dot to Brennan Thompson, JJ Hester, on the other side, where the guy's holding back his arm. And so he's having to try and make a one-handed catch. So it's there. And he's putting the ball in the right spot. It's just needing the receivers to catch it, obviously, and the refs to recognize whenever a guy's getting tugged. But no, I think just take your shots, honestly. But their defensive line. It's not as good as South Carolina, but it's good. It's good. It's better than Texas.
I know. If we could get Burks back for this game. And then it's possible. I doubt it's going to happen. But if Farouk, I don't think. It says here it was a 6 to 8 week injury, and this will be coming up on 8 weeks coming up. But I have no idea how that all is going for him at all. But if we somehow got one, if we got 2 of them back, my thoughts are like just don't give. And it's easy for me to say, right? Because it's guaranteed. But don't give a short field. Make Ole Miss earn it if they have to come down. Don't put our defense in a bad situation where they're giving up the ball or a bunch of 3 and outs. Heck, man, our best offensive player right now, which he's not really in our offense, is the punter. That's at least get some time off the clock, get a couple first downs. And if you're going to punt them where they're starting off at their 20, 25-yard line versus starting off at midfield or even in our territory, right? You know what I mean? That's the thing I want to see. Obviously I want to say no turnovers, but we're going to turn the ball over. Jackson Arnold's going to take chances. It's going to happen. It's unfortunate, but it's going to happen. We're just going to have to get all this out now. And I would be playing some younger players maybe and see what happens. But at the same time, I don't think Venables is going to do that because I think he's got to try to win. Obviously, he's always going to try to win. But if OU winds up winning 5 games, what would that be? 5-7, 5-8, 5-7?
Yeah.
I believe. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't know what's going to happen. And then go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it depends on how those losses occur, as in a sense of does Venables stay or not. But
sure. And there's a lot of people out there, busting our chops and ripping on us. We don't deserve being the SEC, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing, folks. It's going to happen to you as well. It happens to everybody at some point. Texas stunk for years. Now they're better. Good for them. Not good for them. I can't stand them. But Alabama, before Nick Saban got there, was garbage. Same Georgia.
Kind of garbage too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? But Georgia, they were decent under Rick, Mark Richt, who was a head coach before. Before that, not really good. It happens to everybody, right? So stop, enjoy kicking us, while we're down now, because it's not going to be forever. Not going to be forever. Did we get any comments last week? I forgot to ask that. Did you say
Nope.
anything? No, I know. I got some comments on some some posts that I made through our Facebook page and stuff like that. But it is what it is. I'm not gonna go over that a whole lot. But let's see here. What else? What's your score prediction?
I've got OU 17, Ole Miss 35.
Got Oklahoma 19, Ole Miss 18. I'll never predict OU to lose. We're going to have 4 field goals and then a pick 6, and that's going to get us 19. And then Ole Miss touchdown, then a touchdown, and go for 2 and a field goal.
I got Ole Miss 41, Oklahoma 9. I think we're going to get destroyed. I think we're going to get smoked. And
I think you guys are the problem.
It is not going to be pretty. Not going to be pretty. All right, last question I got. Fun question for you guys. You can only pick one, okay? You can pick one. You either get $1 million for every 5 years. You get $1 million. You never pay bills again, or you get $15,000 a month for life. What are you taking?
Well, the per month makes no sense because that doesn't even come close to $1 million. But
it's only about $20,000 a year less. But I'm taking the million.
You said 15,000 or 50?
15,000 a month over 5 years is $900,000. Okay, but you would only get $1 million every 5 years. So
I thought you said every year.
No, every 5 years. Like you would get $1 million every 5 years. You get, and then once that's over, it's over. So like with me, that'd be 20 years from now. I might as well take the $15,000 right now. For me,
I'm taking $1 million for sure. There's no way I'm not racking up $200,000 a year in bills. I'll tell you that.
You could if you're like, hey, I'll take that house, but not take the house payment.
I'm gonna take that car.
I'd say no bills because, like you said, I'll put like $100 down on a Lambo. I don't want a Lambo, but something like that, and never have to pay it.
Yeah, you go out to dinner, just eat, leave.
Yeah,
go buy groceries, leave.
Take the $1 million.
Have kids, hospital bills.
If you properly set that money aside, that's like making $200 a year. I'll be fine.
All I know is you guys got a long way, so $15,000 a month. So let's say.
Well, actually, now that I think about it, we're not that old. We might need to do the no bills because in 30 years, $1 million might not be that much.
Yeah.
You could have $9 million in 50 years if you did the.
What happens if I get maxed out a credit card? Is that paying for my that bill too?
Yeah, I mean it's a bill. You're not
unlimited maintenance.
Okay, then bills. Yeah, that's cheat code. I'm gonna start responding to all those letters I get in the mail saying I'm pre-qualified.
Sure. Well, Foxx Den Sports Podcast would like to thank all of our listeners for listening to our podcast. Again, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just push the little button there that says subscribe. Let's stay on, and you'll be able to see where else you can follow us at. But I'd like to remind everybody that iron sharpens iron. Please stay safe, be savage and not average, and remember to join the skulk. And until next time, Kellen, take it away. What's the rest of it?
Goodbye, everybody.
Boomer.
Thank you for listening to the Foxx Den Sports Podcast. Be sure to subscribe for free to our YouTube channel, Foxx Den Sports. And also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Foxx Den Sports and on Facebook at Foxx Den Sports Podcast. You can also email us at foxdensports@yahoo.com. This has been Foxx Den Sports.